And today I have my special guest. She is a neurodivergent founder, strategic thinker, and of course, building a business that fits your brain. No other than Miss Shayne Adler.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
Yes, and thank you for being part of all my podcast, Miss Shayne. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Absolutely. So I'm co-founder and CEO of Atos. We work with data-driven startups to ensure that their products are built to withstand regulatory scrutiny and earn buyer trust. And we do that by serving as their chief trust officers and owning their data privacy, AI governance, cybersecurity compliance programs and practices so that they can make trust a competitive advantage and overcome go-to-market hurdles.
Indeed. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Shayne. Thank you. And today let's talk about unlock sales with the strategic compliance via frameworks and certifications. Let's start with a reframe the title Building Business That Fits Your Brain. For many neurodivergent founders, the journey begins with trying to fit the brain into standard business mold. What is the moment you realize you needed to build the mold around your brain instead?
I think it was actually after we launched Atos that I realized it was such a perfect fit. I ended the day and I just looked around and I was like, I feel like I am using my entire brain for the first time professionally in my life. And it felt so good to have the freedom to create the infrastructure that I needed and to lean into my skills.
Learning to your own skill is something else. The term strategic thinkers is the key here. How does the neurodivergent process a style, whether it's a pattern recognition, a systemic thinking, or a deep focus, actually become a competitive advantage by seeing market opportunities or solutions others miss?
I think it was almost right there in the question. I think that coming at a problem with a different mindset or with a different experience of the world um, is an advantage, because so much of the go-to-market process is figuring out what's a problem lots of people have and what hasn't been done to address it yet. And they always say, like, figure out a solution that someone hasn't thought of yet that just does it better. And I mean, that's sort of what a neurodivergent brain can do.
Certainly. Before building the business, Miss Shane, there's often history of burnout or feeling broken in conventional roles. How does the experience uniquely prepare or uniquely challenge someone when they step into a founder's seat?
I think there's a lot of appreciation at being able to create the operational structure that works and set the right boundaries. For example, setting the pacing or the hours that somebody works for somebody, or having the freedom to hyper focus on an aspect that you want to hyper focus on to get it really right. And I mean, I know I've done that. I've spent an entire weekend trying to work out a problem and looked up and I had no idea where the time went. But I mean, as long as you have enough executive functioning to be hitting the deliverables and actually meeting expectations with regard to external parties, like there's always that guardrail in place. Internally, in building and creating and thinking about problems, so much more there's so much more flexibility, and having these wild conversations at like 10 p.m. with my co-founders, or just nerding out on something and being able to run with an idea, and not have to go through 17 layers of bureaucracy is it's a lot of fun.
Guardrail indeed. So let's talk about the architecting and operating system structure for freedom. Let's get tactical here, Ms. Jane. Standard productivity advice often fails ND brains. What are the first structural pillars on ND founders should put in place for themselves?
I think that some of the first things that break down and cause chaos can be communication channels. I think when we first launched, we didn't have a standard operating procedure about how to communicate. Um, Not like with clients, I mean, that we would communicate and that we had an SLA, but we hadn't picked like a format, or a tool. And that led to communications being fragmented across different platforms. And communication is so critical, especially when you're dealing with different communication styles in different contexts, and maybe different types of neurodivergence converging. um, Especially in the startup world, I'm sure it's like as common as I've observed. And so ensuring that you can manage that noise without becoming overwhelmed, I think is one of those foundational things that even I overlooked as somebody who's obsessed with organization and setting up those structures. Yep. I think you're on mute.
Hey, sorry for that.
No
Let's talk
worries.
about the human layer: communication, team, and delegation. Communicating your vision can be hard, though. Have you
Mhm.
developed ways to translate your complex, non-linear strategic ideas into a clear, actionable narrative of a neurotypical team members, investors, or clients?
It's an iterative process. I think that it'll be a perpetual work in progress because the landscape changes, so rapidly, and the audience can shift and change. And so getting to that core message, yes, I think that's been something that has been a big focus, because there are problems that, and any expert or anybody who is a particular geek in an area, they're going to have a language and a way of looking at a problem in that field that seems obvious to them. And so that curse of knowledge affects communication, I think, across every subject area. I think seeing the issues that I work with, a lot of them feel obvious. Like the connections, I can make those hops in my brain because I live in this. But the process of slowing down and remembering that everybody's coming to this with a different frame of reference has been critical, in communicating what we do and why it's important, but also just in general connecting with people, in different industries, because we work with people across so many different verticals.
Very well said, Ms. Shane. Delegation is often hard for founders who have uniquely ways of doing things. How do you overcome the if if you want to do it done right. Mentality to build trust and systems that allow you to let go of control.
It's
Hmm.
hard. It's hard.
Yes.
Um, I think that the realization that the people I'm working with are legitimately better than me at some things is a lot of comfort in that arena. I think having that metacognition, having that self awareness, and trying to maintain the humility that there are areas that I may be amazing in this sphere over here, but I'm, maybe average, maybe slightly above average, but I'm not the rock star that my co-founder is in that sphere. So I need to just step back and trust, which seems funny given, my role working with trust.
Yes. Trust and trust indeed. Navigating the neurotypical business world, mission, fundraising, and networking are often built on neurotypical social codes. What adaptations or scripts have you developed to navigate these high stakes interaction authentically without masking to the point of exhaustion?
I think the fact that I'm even having this conversation and being open about the fact that I am not neurotypical is sort of part of that. I have hit the point where in my life where I know that there are areas that I won't be able to navigate as well as someone who's neurotypical. So accepting that and just steering into, I guess, I guess rejecting perfectionism in that and accepting that, there's going to be some awkward moments and I can laugh at it and I can check in with, somebody I trust about how I'm interpreting a situation. Um, and, there, I mean, I think a lot of people would be shocked how many times somebody will recognize a fellow neurodivergent and it'll actually be a bonding moment because um, if you can connect with somebody on that level, then there's a way as shared communication. There's a camaraderie. I had it happen at an event where we just went deep into the weeds on some random topic. I can't even remember what. And it was a mutual recognition that we were communicating in the same way and we were in sync with each other. And that led to a great professional relationship.
Miss Shane, the performative founder, a persona or social media can feel alien. How do you approach a personal branding and marketing in a way that feels true to your authentic communication style, even if it breaks conventional guru rules?
I think, I think it's a hard balance to strike because there's the tendency to overshare on the personal front on social media, right? And that's something that I don't want to fall into. I have little kids who have specifically said they don't want to be on social media, so it's something I've tried to shy away from.
Hmm.
Um, and you know, if anyone has seen my LinkedIn, if I ever post a picture that includes one of my kids, I will anonymize them. Um, I don't want to put my personal life out there. I need to maintain that separation, to respect their wishes, but also, there's my professional self and there's my personal self, and those aren't they may overlap in some ways, but they're not necessarily entirely the same. I think there was this whole fallacy of like bring your whole self to work for a while, and I think that a lot of people realize that didn't work. Um, you have to, adapt. Everyone has to adapt in different circumstances. You're not going to behave the same way in your living room that you would at a 5-star restaurant, for example. And so trying those different personas, I say that as like a variant of my personality, not that it's not authentic, but it's like professional Shayne versus home Shayne. They're sides of different sides of the same coin, I guess, for lack of a better analogy.
So, Miss Shane, let's talk about co-founders and partnership. What are the hallmarks of a complementary partnership that allows an and strategic thinkers to thrive versus one that creates constant friction?
I think, speaking as somebody with two very co-founders who are very different from each other and from myself, having those various skill sets, having those different approaches where you are playing devil's advocate, where you are stress testing each other's ideas, but also where you I'm trying to think, like, there are different ways of approaching a problem, and some of us come at it from a thematic or strategic high level view. Others look at what can I chip away at first in the details. And I think having a mix of those has also been a huge asset. Like, I'm a details person. One of my co-founders is only big picture, like hates dealing with the minutia day to day. But I mean, he'll do it, but he struggles. And so having those overlaps so we don't step on toes, but we can present those various arguments in favor or against an idea so that we can get to the best result possible, I think is where the strength is.
Best result for sure. Your brain likely ignores how it always been done. Can you share an example of a business decision or innovation that came directly from your neurodivergent thinking pattern that neurotypical competitor might not have conceived?
I think, I mean, I know I haven't seen another concept like Atos before, where we function as an outsourced compliance professional. I've seen tools and platforms, and I've seen general consultants. But I think even just our basic concept was seeing the gap in the market differently than other people were. And where we're able to step in and add value is in that most of the issues that arise with regard to data privacy, AI, cybersecurity, it's not technical in the strictest sense. It's not some big bad black hat wearing villain from the outside. It's just human foibles, human error, and approaching the idea as a human first, uh, the problem as a human first driven solution, I think is one of the examples, it's a big one, of how we were able to address a problem from a unique perspective. Yep. I think you're on mute again.
Yes, before we wrap up our discussion today, Miss Shane, thank you for reminding me. I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in a fifth season, abstract poetry in third season, and of course, my book 101 review in sixth season two, comedy 101 in third season, and of course, My Food 101 in sixth season two, Geography 101, Love Letters, Movie 101 Review, Music 101, our fifth season, Science 101, Sex 101, in its fourth season, Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, of course, Bible Verses 101 are my baby podcast. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Shayne, looking back, what's one piece of standard issues business advice you were given that was not just useless but actively harmful for your neurodivergent brain, and what did you replace it with?
I think it was that you have to fit in at all costs. I think that, especially as a founder and a leader, standing out is a positive, and, steering into your strengths instead of trying to fit a mold it's so much more invigorating, and it prevents that burnout you were mentioning.
Yes, indeed. So, Ms. Shayne, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or wherever projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. Visit us at atos-data.com. It's AETOS-data.com. And coming up, we're actually going to be in the UK and hosting some events. So if you'll be there in March, send us a note.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Shayne Adler, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy will rise. So I have one more question, Miss Shayne. What does success look like for you, redefined through the Andy lens? Is it the scale, impact, freedom, deep mastery, or how does it differ from generic exit?
You mean success with the company? I think.
Yes. Yes.
Versus broader life, I think. I want to just I just want to get out there and do the work and be busy and have a full plate. I think that would be a successful business if I can just keep growing to the point where we expand and are helping other founders.
Yes, Miss Shayne Adler, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Welcome, people. See you soon. And congratulations for the expansion, Miss Shayne. Hoping for more expansion that you will get this year.